Hi, this is Jitesh Satyan. WhatsApp number +91 965661189. Today's talk, we continue the analysis of story on birth of Kartigeya in Skanda Purana. So, in the story, next we find Kritigas nurturing the 6 babies. Meanwhile, in Shiva's abode, his wife Parvati's breast starts secreting milk. When Parvati inquired the cause for the same, Shiva informed her about the 6 babies under the care of Kritikas, which are 6 sisters, and suggested it was time to bring their son home. So Shiva and Parvati went to see the 6 kids. Okay, now coming to the analysis. The 7 sages or Sapta Rishis are believed to be the 7 major stars called Big Dipper of the Ursa Major constellation. It's also called Great Bear. And their wives, the Kritikas, are the 7 major stars called Pleiades in the Taurus. The Big Dipper has a lot of significance in Hindu scriptures to describe the timing of events. For example, the Bhagavata Purana mentions the starting of Kali Yuga as well as the growth of Kali Yuga, all based on the position of these Saptarishis. More explicit reference to the meaning of Saptarishi in the context of star constellation is discussed in the book of astronomy called Brihat Samhita, written by Varaha Mihira, which has a complete chapter detailing Saptarishis. Pleiades was also used for timekeeping in many cultures, and the reference comes in Greek, Egypt, Arab, and Mayan scriptures. While the Great Bear represented masculine energy on the solar system, Pleiades was represented as feminine in most of the ancient civilizations as the feminine nurturer of the solar system. Pleiades star cluster finds immense reference in multiple civilizations. Both Greek mythology and Hindu mythology has stories on how one of the 7 sisters got separated from the other 6 to reconcile why only 6 of the stars are usually visible without telescope. So that's why we find in the story also the reference to 6, while Saptarishis are 7. So in the context of the story on birth of Kartigeya, the Kritikas represent the nurturing capability, the nurturing of the spiritual power, similar to the Vedic belief of Pleiades nurturing the solar system. So the entire sequence of events involving birth of Kartigeya can be summarized as the Guru, who is embodiment of Shiva himself and has absolute knowledge of the Supreme, initiating the aspirant with the descent of his spiritual power onto the aspirant. The power starts its descent in the Sahasrara, abode of pure consciousness, then activates the Ajna Chakra, which corresponds to the sparks of third eye. So Sahasrara is the abode of pure consciousness, or can be considered as Shiva. From Shiva, then next level is activation of Ajna Chakra, which is sparks of the third eye. Then it travels down to activate the Vishuddhi Chakra, which is the Akasha, followed by Anahata Chakra, as shown by Vayu, and Manipura Chakra, which is shown by Agni. So Vayu and Agni carrying the sparks, followed by Ganga taking over the Swadhisthana Chakra, Apa or water element, and finally Mooladhara Chakra, as in Sharavana forest, which is Prithvi. So the full body now gets ready for the awakening of Kundalini, which is the nurturing of Kritikas, and then Kundalini is awakened, which is shown by Parvati's breasts starting secreting of milk. Later in the story, we see that this milk or the awakening of Kundalini can destroy the karmic doshas and get the aspirant ready for spiritual realization, which is directly shown with events in the story itself on how Parvati's breast milk can remove karmic doshas. When Parvati took the 6 children in her arms, they merged into a single child, and Parvati accepted him as a child. Shiva informed the Kritikas that the child will be called Kartigeya or Kartigeyan since he was brought up by Kritikas, and anyone who worships Kartigeya on the day of Kartigei Nakshatram or Kartiga Nakshatram, which is a star in Vedic astrology, will be blessed. While Parvati was holding Kartigeya, her motherly joy resulted in breast milk, some of which fell in Sharavana pond. Sons of a sage who were living as fishes in the Sharavana pond due to a curse were removed from the curse when they had the milk that fell in the water. Shiva asked the sons of the sage who got back their human form to proceed to place called Tirupparangundram, where Kartigeya will come later and guide them to attain liberation. Shiva and Parvati then left to their abode along with Kartigeya. Okay, so now looking at my perspective, when Parvati takes the 6 children in her arms, they merged into a single child and Parvati accepts him as her child. This clarifies that power that activates the different chakras is still a single entity for the purpose of spiritual practice. Shiva informing the Kritikas about the name of the child and the star sign Kartigay appropriate for worship introduces the reader to the spiritual practice of Lord Kartigeya and reinforces the association of Kritikas to the star cluster Kartigay Nakshatra or Kartiga Nakshatra. Next, we find Parvati's breast milk mixing with the water in the pond and the sons of a sage who were cursed to take the form of fishes getting removed from the curse when drinking the milk. Parvati's breast milk secretion and its association to Kundalini awakening was discussed earlier in one of the earlier talks, similar to where we discussed how the Kritika is associated to stars. The sons of the sages being removed from the curse shows the power of the descent or Kartigeya's birth and subsequent Kundalini awakening, Parvati's milk, in clearing all previous karmic impressions and getting the aspirant ready for the spiritual practice, as suggested with Kartigeya as the Guru. The same message of Kundalini awakening as preparing the aspirant for further spiritual practice for liberation is explicitly mentioned as Shiva asking the sons of the sage who got back their human form to proceed to a sacred place called Tirupparangundram, where Kartigeya will come later and guide them to attain liberation. Since this story is taken from South Indian version of Skanda Purana, the reference here is to the first camp temple called Tirupparangundram in the 6 encampments, Arupadai Veedu of Lord Kartigeya. The order in which these 6 temples are to be visited is discussed in a hymn which was composed by Saint Nagirar. The order is first Tirupparangundram, followed by Tiruchendur, then Palani, then Swami Malai, then Tirthani, and finally Pazhamudir Cholai. So several authors have cited that the philosophical significance of these 6 temples is their correspondence to the 6 chakras. So we'll briefly touch upon that. So it is in Tirupparangundram that Lord Kartigeya marries wife Devayani. Devayani, as the name signifies, is corresponding to material prosperity. When you look at the temple mythology, you will find Indra and how the daughter is associated to all the positive attributes. So the materialistic prosperity corresponding to Mooladhara or the Prithvi Tattva is communicated in Tirupparangundram. Next is the next temple in the list is Tiruchendur. So this is the only location out of the 6 temples which is having the temple constructed in the seashore. The water element is directly coming out in the temple itself, so it corresponds to the Swadhisthana Chakra. Next temple in the list is Palani. where if you look at the temple mythology, we find that Lord Kartikeya leaves the fruit of prosperity with Lord Ganesha and takes a spiritual inclination as the Lord holding a staff. Uh, so, like a sannyasi. So the Manipuraga chakra is directly communicated in this, where as from a chakra perspective, once a person is able to cross the energy is able to cross the Manipuraga chakra, then there's a very little chance that the person will fall back in a spiritual practice, or the inclination towards spiritual practice will remain. So that's Palani. Next is Swami Malai, which corresponds to the Anahada chakra. Anahada, which the meaning itself is means unstruck sound, or the sound produced internally, or it's the internal pranava, is what is communicated by the Anahada chakra. The temple mythology shows Lord Kartikeya giving the meaning of pranava to Shiva, which directly communicates again the association with the specific chakra. Next is in the list is Tiruttani. So this is corresponds to Vishuddhi chakra. Vishuddhi chakra, as the name signifies, corresponds to purification or regeneration. So Vishuddhi is, as the Westerners call it, the fountain of youth. In the story of or the temple mythology, which is mostly associated with marrying of his other wife Valli, we find that Lord Kartikeya transforms from an old man to a youthful form twice in the story. So again, the fountain of youth and the association to Vishuddhi is directly coming out if you try to decode the story. Final, the sixth one is Padamudur Cholai. Here we find a balance of Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti, where Lord is with his two wives. Valli corresponding to Icha Shakti, the Lord Kartikeya corresponding to Jnana Shakti, and Devayani as Kriya Shakti. So the mythology is involves Lord Kartikeya asking whether cooked or uncooked fruit is what is required by a devotee, Sutta Padam or Sudada Padam. So this shows the ripened state which is required in the Agnya Chakra. So it's like the ripened pumpkin for moksha, which comes in Mrityunjaya mantra as well, Urva Arugamiyo Bandhana. Or what it corresponds is a fully cooked fruit, the Sutta Vada, is what is communicated. So that's the significance of Padamudur Cholai. So we briefly touched upon the 6 abbots and its significance both from chakra perspective and from temple mythology perspective. So to defeat the inner asuras, the aspirant has to visit the temples in the suggested order to have the corresponding chakra energized. The order here corresponds to ascent of Kundalini, considering the effort here is from perspective of aspirant. Descent of power from Guru activates or kindles the spiritual power, and from aspirant perspective the focus is on ascent of activated Kundalini. The description of events from birth of Kartikeya ends with Shiva and Parvati leaving with Kartikeya to their abode. Skanda Purana describes many great feats of Lord Kartikeya before he kills the 3 asuras. In today's talk, we will analyze 2 such feats to show that a similar kind of decoding exercise can be done for understanding the deeper philosophical significance and the insights which are given in Skanda Purana. Okay, so the 2 feats from Skanda Purana. Kartikeya grew up performing many wonders. Once the Devas, the demigods, mistook the child to be an Asura and attacked him. Kartikeya easily subdued the demigods. When the demigods realized he was the one born to save them from the Asuras, they requested forgiveness and praised him as Deva Senapati, or commander of the Devas. In another incident, he was praised with the title Guru Guhan for explaining the meaning of Pranava mantra to Lord Shiva and later teaching the same to a sage. Okay, now coming to the analysis. So one instance involves the demigods mistaking the child to be an asura and attacking him. Kartikeya easily subduing the demigods. When the demigod realized he was the one born to save them from the asuras, they requested forgiveness and praised him as Deva Senapati. This is the story. So the demigods representing the positive tendencies in the aspirant associated to spiritual realization, and the asuras represent the tendencies that are oriented to materialistic objects and opposed to spiritual realization. This incident shows that the descent of power from Guru transcends even the positive tendencies of the aspirant. So the aspirant, neither his or her positive or negative tendencies can influence the descent of power from the Guru. The aspirant later realizes that this descent of power will lead him to realization, and his positive tendencies only play a supporting role in this realization. So the term Deva Senapati, or commander of the positive tendencies in the aspirant, is an appropriate name for the Guru who helps in spiritual realization. So the second incident shows Kartikeya praised with the title Guru Guhan for explaining the meaning of Pranava Mantra to Lord Shiva and later teaching the same to a sage. So in Hindu scriptures, all energy forms in the cosmos and in human body is believed to have a sound vibration associated to it. Using these sounds in the right manner, satisfying certain internal and external variables, is said to invoke the corresponding energy form. Pranava mantra is the sound for the supreme consciousness, Brahman. Hence, when a qualified aspirant invokes it, the aspirant is said to be invoking Shabda Brahma, or the supreme in sound form. Kartikeya, giving the meaning of Pranava mantra to Shiva and the sage, shows him as the Guru who has knowledge of absolute and can initiate aspirants with mantra, especially Pranava mantra, for knowledge of supreme or absolute knowledge. So the Brahma Jnana is conveyed corresponding to the Guru. Guru, the term itself meaning the person who can remove the darkness. So a deeper meaning also exists in the term Guruhan. Guru means dispeller of darkness, and Guha means a cage. So Guru Guhan means the dispeller of darkness in the cave. Guha, corresponding to cave, in the context of self, has been interpreted as the mind by Adi Shankaracharya in his commentary on Taittiriya Upanishad, while Vidyaranya in his book Panchadashi interprets Guha as the koshas, or the sheaths of the body. In both these interpretations, the self or consciousness of the aspirant is interpreted as covered in a dark cave. So Guru Guhan is not an ordinary teacher, but a teacher who specifically dispels the darkness in the cave to reveal the Atman or self in the aspirant. Thanks for listening.